What's going on, guys? So today we're going to be fixing the black Grand Cherokee so Kenzie can take it off-roading hopefully some weekend coming up soon, maybe this weekend, we're not really sure yet. We got a lot of work to do on it though, so this video is basically just going to be tons and tons of parts being thrown at this car until it works again. So let's go ahead and get right into that. So I picked up a new alternator since the one that's already on the Jeep is seized up and will not spin. I've tried everything to break this loose like we did last time. It will not come loose, so we're going to go ahead and swap it out with this brand new one I picked up on eBay for like $100. Alright, and with both of them out, you can see the difference and see how screwed up the original one that is in the car was. This one's also somehow cracked all over the place. Now, I've never seen this on alternator. It might be kind of common or something. And it's also seized up and not spinning whatsoever. So it was definitely time to get it swapped out with something new, replaced with a brand new one that'll work better. This thing has definitely seen better days. Now, this new one I did pick up on eBay for like $120, so it's a fairly cheap alternator compared to what you get at the auto parts store. But that's kind of what we need for this car, and that's kind of the theme of the whole car, is the cheapest parts possible. So let's go ahead and get this thing put back together. And just like that, it's thrown back in. I didn't show you guys the process because it's literally 2 bolts and some wires, but you guys get the idea. And I got the new alternator in, so that should fix our battery dying constantly and not charging problem. Hopefully it has no further issues. If it does, I guess we'll have to address those as they come. But let's go ahead and get the car turned on and see what happens. Alright, so since it wouldn't start, it would just crank. Kenzie suggested that we looked at the spark plugs. I was like, no, that's a stupid idea. It doesn't need spark plugs. Seems like it might need spark plugs if it'll focus. Hold on. Yeah, so they're a little burnt up. So we're gonna go ahead and head to the store, get some new spark plugs. I'm gonna let Kenzie do this, I think, because you know, this is not my car anymore, so this is not really my issue as much. I'm gonna work on this one because this one's gonna be way cooler. But we're gonna go ahead, go pick up spark plugs. It needs gas anyways. I'll get gas while we're out and see if it'll start after that. So we got gas because Kenzie was right. It was the spark plugs. Filled these up. There should be enough for the Grand Cherokee, honestly, because it probably won't move for another year anyway. Actually, are you gonna start driving this Jeep?
Which one?
The black one?
Yeah.
Okay, so it's gonna need more gas than this within a year, but we got gas, so we're gonna go home and try to get it started. So here's one of the old ones, and then here's one of the new ones we just picked up. This one's gapped to the correct spec for the 4.0 in a 2004 Grand Cherokee. But this one is literally double the gap as this one, so definitely needed new spark plugs anyway, so Kenzie was right about that. So she's going to go ahead and put new spark plugs in this one, swap them all out. I'm going to go ahead and gap them all, and then just hand them to her and she'll swap them all in. Then we'll see if this thing will start up. Alright, so Kenzie got all 6 spark plugs swapped out. The old ones look absolutely terrible, so it definitely needed spark plugs. Hopefully this solves our issue of it not starting. If it does not, I'm going to have to look into some other stuff. Possibly a crankshaft position sensor, which would be miserable to do because that just kind of sucks. We already did it on the blue one. Would suck to have to do it on this one too, but if we have to, we have to. We're going to get this running hopefully by Sunday so we can take it off-roading. Alright, so it started. It's doing that smoking thing again, so we're just going to ignore that. It's probably just oil burning off. Does anybody know why this part-time light would keep blinking on and off randomly? It's just in park, 2-wheel drive, and it just keeps blinking. Not really sure what's going on there, so I feel like I remember messing with this before and looking into it. I don't really remember what it means though, so if you do know what that means, comment down below because I need to fix that as well, obviously. It's not really wanting to idle too well, but that kind of makes sense for something that's been sitting for years. Now I have to go ahead, take the drive shaft out of that Jeep, put it in this one, clean out the windows from all the primer from like 2 years ago, and honestly this thing might make it off-roading this weekend. I'm not 100% sure. Kenzie wants to go, so we'll see how that goes. You know, I'll be honest with you guys. That did not go as planned. Let's see what happens. One of the hoses, I'd assume, popped off the water pump. Yes. So we're gonna let this cool down now and put that back on, I guess. So I think I'm gonna fix that tomorrow because it's getting a little dark and I don't feel like doing it right now. Now tomorrow our plan is put that hose back on. You can't really see it, it's down in there. Hose back on the water pump. Take the front drive shaft out of this one, put it in this one. Then Sunday, Kenzie's gonna drive this off-road. I'll take that for when she gets stuck. That way I can pull her out. She does have a winch now, so maybe this will work. We have to test this one still off-road. Am I bad about that? Literally, I don't know how much of it I got on camera, but I was just sitting there. Heard this loud like psh sound and smoke everywhere. I was watching the temperature though, and it did not get hot. It was at like normal temperature, like right in the middle. But the hose did pop off. So we're gonna take care of that obviously tomorrow. All right, day 2, we got the hose put back on. I still have to reinstall the belt. Kenzie's filling up the oil. She already took all the old oil out, changed the filter. So once this is done, we'll be able to, I gotta fill up the radiator again and all the coolant. Then we should be able to start it and hopefully get it running by the end of the night. Then after that, swap the front drive shaft yokes, all that stuff onto this Jeep. And this one should be good to go by Sunday, hopefully. Still have to change the oil in that one. That one's a little late too, but this one's almost done. All right, so we got it on. Seems to be working fine so far. Same thing happened yesterday. I'm just gonna watch all the temperatures and watch everything here, make sure it all stays good. I think it should be fine now. We kind of did a lot of work to it. It's got all new oil finally. The old oil looked absolutely disgusting, but we've gone ahead and swapped it out. So hopefully this thing will drive now. Possibly take it for a little test run and then swap over the drive shaft and all that out of the blue one into this one for the time being, because that one's gonna be sitting for a little bit until we finish up the 1-tons. So it's starting to overheat now. A lot of the times it kind of seems like it could be a thermostat, so I'm gonna go pick one of those up since it's like 10 bucks, 8 bucks, something like that. Also, another kind of the largest issue we found so far, the valve cover gasket is definitely leaking down there. I don't know how well the camera's gonna pick it up, but we definitely need one of those. They seem pretty cheap too, so I guess we'll run to the store and pick one of those up and figure that out as we go. I don't know why the camera's not focusing. Good, replace the valve cover gasket, replace thermostat, because that should be pretty simple, and see where we go from there. Radiator's kind of steaming too. This thing has a ton of problems. Like, this thing's kind of just a piece of junk at this point, but we gotta get it fixed so Kenzie can take this one off-road. All right, so we picked up a few things. First of all, we got the valve cover gasket for the black Grand Cherokee. Then I also picked up the cheapest battery that AutoZone had for the blue Grand Cherokee, I think, because this one actually has the Wrangler battery in it and it seems to be doing okay. This one has literally no battery in it, and this one has a Grand Cherokee battery in it, but it's also doing okay. So we got a $70 battery we're gonna be putting in this. Then we can take that one off-roading. More importantly, we have to fix this valve cover gasket. I did forget to pick up a thermostat. I'll do that tomorrow. It's not a huge deal. It's a few bolts, and I need a new one of these because it's kind of trashed, as you can see. So I'm gonna go ahead and hopefully get this knocked out before it gets dark. We don't have a ton of time, so I'm gonna get to work on this. Okay, so I opened this and went to take this off and realized this bolt right there wasn't super tight. So I tightened it down and then figured I'd try it again to see if it was still leaking. Anything down there that you guys see on camera was there before, and I wiped it up pretty good, and it does not appear to be leaking anymore. Here's the part that sucks. Not returnable if opened, so we're just gonna keep that. Realistically, we're gonna need one for either this Jeep or this Jeep in the future anyway. I'm gonna let this run though, get up the temperature, see how it's doing, and see if it overheats again. Hopefully, it's doing all right now. It's like right at 210, but it sat there for a little bit before. And one thing I noticed was my fan is not kicking on.
So I'm going to look into that and see why that's not kicking on. And then I'm also going to pick up a thermostat tomorrow while we get that at the auto parts store. Go up to AutoZone and pick one of those up. It's also steaming a little bit from the front of the radiator. Not really sure what that's about. Doesn't seem to be leaking or anything. So I'll have to figure that out too before we take it off-roading. But it's not looking too bad.
There's 1, 2, 3.
Yeah.
It's not even hot.
So since it's still overheating and everything, we are going to go ahead and throw in a new thermostat. Really simple job to do, and this is not expensive at all. It's like 10 bucks. Took out the 2 bolts already, so this is already loose. I just have to go ahead and get this connector off. Then we'll go ahead, open this up, and throw the new one in, and hopefully this will fix our issue. So I got the old one out. It's definitely not looking the best. We got the replacement here, which is good. Only thing is we did not pick up a replacement gasket, and as you can see, we're definitely going to need one of these. It just kind of ripped off in there. It's looking a little gunky down there too, but I'm just going to ignore that, honestly. It's not really any point to clean it out because the whole cooling system's probably full of that stuff as well. But I guess we're going to run to the store, pick up another one of these gaskets, and throw in the new thermostat. See if that fixes our issue. If not, we're going to have to go ahead and just start figuring out what else it could be. And I picked up the new gasket for the thermostat. So I'm going to go ahead and get the old one cleaned up off of there and off of here. Then we'll go ahead, throw the new one in, try to get the Jeep started again, and see if that was our issue. It might not be, but this is kind of just the easiest, cheapest, most probable issue. These freeze up all the time. So we went ahead and just picked up a new one. So let's go ahead and throw this in. So the Jeep's on now. I'm just going to let it go ahead and get up to 210, like right at the running temperature, and see if it still overheats or not. All the other stuff's looking pretty good. It definitely needs some gas, but you know, it's whatever. They all need gas. But we're going to go ahead and get this up to temperature and see what it does from here. Hopefully this solves our issue. So the thermostat I got is actually a little bit lower than factory, and it seems to be keeping it right below 210, which is kind of good. There is a thing as running too cool. It doesn't get up to the correct operating temperature, but I'm not too worried about that in a car that has 204,000 miles in it. Realistically, not a huge concern to me. Pretty sure it's been real low for a while now. So I'm gonna go ahead and let it run for just a little bit longer and see if it does spike, because it did hold it there for a while. And I'm also not sure what temperature the fan is supposed to turn on. And I'm not sure how well you're going to be able to see it, but the fan is not turning on. I would ignore all that smoke. It's just burning off excess oil. Not a huge deal, but that fan is not moving. I'm not sure if that turns on at 210 or where it turns on. So if you guys know that, go ahead and comment down below so I can figure that out. Kenzie's up there detailing the red Jeep. I'm working on the blue one today. Figured I'd go ahead and get this one running. So hopefully this fixed our issue. Like I said, I'm gonna let it run for probably another 10-15 minutes, something like that. We don't have a ton of gas and I don't want it to run out, but I'm gonna let it run for a little bit longer and see if it holds that temperature. All right, so it's like 2 minutes later. It's now going past 210. Fan is still not on. So if you guys know what temperature that fan's supposed to kick on at, let me know down in the comments. I already replaced the relays with ones I know that work. Obviously it's still not turning on, so I think I need a whole new fan. I'm not really completely sure yet, but it's still overheating, so we're not gonna be able to take it off-roading this weekend. I have to figure out why it's overheating. As you can see, it's climbing up kind of quickly now. It was at 210 as soon as I started recording this video, and it's still going. So we got to figure out what's going on there. So if you guys have any hints or tips or anything like that, comment them down below for me. But that's basically going to wrap up this video. I have to do a little bit more research, figure out what's going on with this thing. So if you guys, like I said, if you know anything or have any suggestions, comment them down below and I'll take a look at that, see what's going on. In the meantime, I'm going to be working on the blue Jeep and get that thing ready for the 1-ton swap. The Jeep itself, pretty much ready for it. I just have to get the axles ready, weld the trusses on, get them swapped under here. Also, another 4 sets of the aluminum hood vents for the WJ going out. We were waiting on a restock of the hardware since we use really nice hardware for this, so it won't rust. Finally got those in, so these 4 will be shipping out probably tomorrow. If you guys want to see what they look like on the Jeep, here's the inside. So you actually cut out the factory. It's like a little location here. It sets in, super simple install, super simple to cut. And here it is from the outside. Ignore this, I set a piece of steel on it. It's not rust on the hood vent themselves. Completely untreated and they still look great. They're aluminum, so they won't rust or anything. Also update, we have the 2.5 ton setup for the steering coming. Final setup, this one should be the one to install. Should be here probably within the next week or so. We'll get it installed on this one, then they'll be available on the website. Gonna throw the 1 ton kit on that Jeep, 2.5 ton on this Jeep, and then they'll be available on the website once we get both videos and all that stuff done and taken care of. But as always, thanks for watching, guys, and I'll see you in the next one.